I was really curious about you and your eyes, as I was really keen to see just how scientific they'd go. And I have to say, I'm very impressed. This is a Disney Jiminy Cricket educational short from 1956 with Cliff Edwards voicing Jiminy Cricket, and it takes us through an overview of the eye and how it works, and then it includes some information on how to look after your eyes. Now, I will say I don't think the pacing was great. The whole thing, the cartoon, is about 6 or 7, maybe 8 minutes, and about 80% of it is how the eye works. And I'll talk about that bit in a moment, but I feel like there could have been a bit more focus on how to look after our eyes because that's really important. And that's something that we can put into practice much more easily. Of course, this was in the 50s, and I imagine it's easier to look after our eyes now because we know more about it. But at the same time, I think the balance could have been a bit better. But I have to also praise how well they described how eyes worked, keeping it technical and scientific while making it relatively easy for young viewers to follow. It basically describes the eye as being like a camera, and we have some visuals on the screen, some animation to help illustrate this. And then it talks about the benefits of watery eyes, and we have it like a car windscreen wiper, and it's very, very well done. I do think it gets a little, well, it's not so much that it gets a little too technical, it's that it's kind of information dumping. There's a lot of information explained, and again, it's done very well. But for if this is aimed at children, I feel like that's a lot of technical information in a very short space of time, which is why I think maybe they could have done a bit better at balancing it a bit more with tips for looking after the eyes to make it a little less heavy. Of course, watching it on the internet, a young viewer could just watch it again and again and absorb the information at their own pace. But if they were watching this as, for example, part of a school educational program, I feel like it's a lot. There's a lot of information, and it is very well explained, but it's just, there's a lot of it. But I do have to praise how well they did it. I did wonder if they'd either not make it very technical, or it would be too technical to understand. But I think they got the balance pretty spot on. It's just the pacing that's a bit of an issue, or perhaps the fact that there's a bit too much information shared. Not that I suggest they should dumb it down or give less information. I just think that could have been maybe a better way to pace things a little bit and make it easier to absorb. But watching it now as an adult, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good fun. The illustrations of the eyes are very well done, and we have some really good information. And I think if a child were to watch it a couple of times now, I think that information would be soaked in quite easily. But watching it once as part of an educational program might mean that it's quite fact heavy. Usually with Jiminy Cricket shorts, there's some fact, but a lot of food for thought, a lot of things that the viewer can think about, and it can make them look at things from different perspectives. This one is just fact after fact. I don't mind it. I think it does work well enough, but maybe more so in an age when we can watch it repeatedly and children can pause it and interact with it a little bit more. In the 50s, definitely not so much the case. But that being said, it's still pretty good. I think You and Your Eyes is an entertaining short, definitely educational. And if you're a Disney fan or a Jiminy Cricket fan, of course it's worth checking out.